Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. These are recorded live Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, streaming across 5 different platforms. Although right now it looks like DLive's not working, but oh well. We are on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, Twitch, and in theory, we're on DLive, but I don't know. But anyway, with that, let's go ahead and get diving right on into the privacy and the security news. First up in the privacy news, Wired has an article, The High Cost of Living Your Life Online. And this is a really good read through. It kind of talks a little bit about the mental health issues involved in constantly being online. You post something and then you're waiting for the responses. And sometimes it's this heightened anticipation that never comes. And so it causes some negative impact in your life when you are throwing stuff up, anticipating something good, and it doesn't happen. And so what this person's coming out and finally saying is, hey, I've learned I should turn off notifications sometimes. And, all that basic stuff I've been telling you for a long time. You do not need every website under the sun sending you a notification. Okay. Have a set time in your day where you can go in and pull up, YouTube, for example, and see what's new among all of your favorite creators. I do that. I don't have any notifications or whatever else, but I get up in the morning and I turn on my K-Word media player, and which feeds into my BitChute account. And then I watch some of my favorite BitChute users that uploaded content over the evening while I eat my breakfast, and then I turn that off and I go and do a little bit of work, and then I'll come back and do another time. But the thing is that I don't want notifications constantly beeping. Just because something happened in the world does not mean it has hijacked your immediate priority. And that's really what this article gets to. And why is it that we need articles to tell us these things? These should be blatantly obvious, but apparently they're not blatantly obvious. Hence, we have these people going, I was surprised. I turned off notifications and stopped looking for results of what I was doing, and all of a sudden I felt better. I know. I've been telling you this for a long time. In fact, I wrote a little bit about this in response to the early wave of video game addiction back around, I would say it would be the late 90s, early 2000s. It's really when we first started seeing the manifestation of video game addiction because games were getting so large. I wrote about that in my book, I Am Not Amused. So if you want a deeper dive into some of that, but really the reality is here, when you're constantly living your life online and you're uploading things and you're looking for responses or engagements to posts, or you're trying to constantly be up to date and you're turning on notifications and your phone keeps beeping at you, and this causes you to stop what you're doing and look at it, and you look at the end of your day and you have not accomplished a lot, you're becoming depressed, things are not turning out well for you, it's no surprise. So I'd encourage you to go ahead and read this Wired article. Of course, all the articles are linked to the website at switchedtolinux.com that is in the description of this video. Well, in response to some of the leaks, like the odious leak, is it odious? Whatever, the telecom in Australia leak that caused the whole world to be like, Optus. It's right there in the headline of the article. Look at that. Government considers centralizing digital ID verification on MyGov in wake of the Optus breach. So, of course, the Optus breach, the controversy has been around them wanting to verify who you are, getting all of this information that is in no way, shape, or form needed to provide the service of giving you internet to your house, and storing it forever. And then when it's breached and all this information leaks out, now we have a big data thing. So all these companies are going, well, let's just do everything and centralize it all through the government. Yeah, the government still thinks that you should change your password every 3 months. Has the one website, I think it was the post office. The last I saw the post office website, it was telling you should use Internet Explorer or Netscape Navigator to view the website. Literally, that was at 3 years ago, maybe. Do the math. Netscape Navigator died 20 years ago, something like that. And so the government lags way far behind on everything. That is the last place I would want a centralized database of anything and everything. I have a better, brilliant idea for companies like Optus. You do not need my driver's license to provide internet to my home location. I understand if you need my home address. I understand if you need a payment method. But I do not understand why you need my driver's license or any other information or my birth date or how old I am. How old are you? Why does it matter? You're just taking internet and you're pumping it into my house, and I am providing you money for this. You do not need anything more than the service address where it goes to, a place to send the bill to in the event it is different, and a payment method to pay for it. See, this is what we need to do globally, is everything outside the scope of what is actually really needed to perform the business you're asking for should be completely illegal. Like, not an option, completely illegal. Now, the problem is this flies in the face of things like Patriot Act and Cloud Act that we'll get to later on today, and things like the know your customer laws, because they're like, we need to know your customer. We need to know your customer in order to sell you a widget. No, you don't need to know the customer on everything. And we need to start pushing back against this as people to say, hey, we need a little bit more privacy restored in our business relationships. But centralizing all ID information on the government websites, this just basically makes the government website a much bigger target, and the government is not very good at security at all. I mean, yeah. Well, from Tech Radar, thank you for that pop-up, you annoying piece of garbage. I mentioned briefly the Cloud Act a moment ago. If you do not remember, the Cloud Act is something that passed under Orange Man Bad, and under Orange Man Bad, they passed this law, which is now going into effect. This is a data sharing plan between United States and United Kingdom, where, of course, United States is not allowed to illegally search for anything on you. However, UK can. And so now UK and US have some data sharing plans where the UK can get information about you. Basically, this is a hardening and a solidifying and a beginning of a stronger Five Eyes. If you're unfamiliar with the concept of the Five Eyes, there are 5 different countries, that have agreements to share data in between them all. So United States is not allowed to do illegal surveillance on its citizens, but UK can, and Germany can, and Australia can. So these countries could do that. And then the US can go, can you give me anything you have on this guy? Oh, sure. And that's what it is. Well, the Cloud Act is supposed to be better, more secure stuff. But really, basically what it means is that United States and United Kingdom are now involved in a very open plan to share data. This is the Cloud Act. Passed a while back, now just going into effect. Basically, if we start seeing a whole lot of companies popping up out of the UK asking for your information, resist. Of course, the one service I had already mentioned today that is there is BitChute. BitChute, last I knew, unless they have moved, is a UK company, so something to keep in mind. But this starts to throw some serious concern about U.S. citizens doing business with anybody in the UK who is involved in data collection, because UK also does not have the constitutional protections that America has, where the government is technically not supposed to spy on the citizens, although they do. But this just solidifies it. So clarifying lawful overseas use of data act is what it is. Basically, it's a sharing act going into effect now. And now on to our feature story, TikTok tracking non-users. And as we started this, several people have chimed in the comments in the chat saying, oh, well, I've never logged into TikTok. Yeah, it doesn't matter. TikTok is basically doing the exact same thing that Facebook was doing, probably is doing more often than not. Basically, it's utilizing tracking pixels. So I know what I'm going to be doing soon is tracking down what TikTok's tracking pixels are and putting them in my global block list so that when I'm on my own internet or my own computers, TikTok cannot track me around. But basically the same thing that Facebook was doing, Facebook Pixel and Facebook login pages, Facebook share buttons, all these types of things that appear on websites, you navigate to whether or not you have a Facebook account, whether or not you're logged in. The fact that you, at your IP address, at your computer, at your browser specs, at your whatever else is all there, feeds right on back up into the system. And then what ends up happening in response to this is that they can collect the shadow profiles is what it is. Well, TikTok is doing this, only we can guess that they're doing a lot more of it with a lot less scruples, because this is a company based in a foreign country that is fairly adversarial to our country, country who is seeking to do all sorts of data. Also, don't forget that TikTok is connected to, owned by ByteDance, who is a Chinese data analytics and AI training firm. They are using this data to train AI, and that makes it intrinsically not safe. So for all you people saying, well, I've never logged into TikTok, it doesn't matter. Unless you are explicitly blocking TikTok's tracking pixels, TikTok is tracking you around the internet. And so we'll talk about, I'll spend some time soon and figure out what these tracking pixels are and talk about that, how you can do that. Of course, if you block it in your host file, or if you have something like Pi-hole or any other type of IP filtering you can use, you can go ahead and set that up in your blocking lists and prevent TikTok from following you around. I have that set up on my NAS here, or on my router here, where Facebook is completely blocked. I can't even access Facebook except for a few browsers that I explicitly whitelisted to go through in the event I need to do something with Facebook for clients, which unfortunately occasionally I need to do. So just keep that in mind. You will need to start tracking down the TikTok tracking pixel and blocking that explicitly on your computer in order to prevent TikTok from tracking you, even if you do not use their service. Well, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have affiliates. Today we're highlighting Linode, tlm.li/Linode. Any new account verified by a new credit card number will have access to $100 in credit, good for 60 days. You can spin up all the Linodes that you would like, and then only pay for what you use at the end of the 60-day period of time, or over $100, of course. tlm.li/Linode for all your various hosting and cloud computing resources that you might need. All right, now let's head on over to security news. First up in security news, we have city of Tucson has a data breach, 123,500 individuals. Basically, the breach got in there and they collected, guess what? We just talked about this a minute ago. Driver's licenses, billing addresses, credit cards, all sorts of things that, government had on their various citizens. They were able to get in there. So the data exposed name, social security number, driver's license or state identification number, and passport number. Yay! Isn't this a very good reason why we need to centralize all of our data ID inside of the government? This happened back in May. They're just now getting around to telling people about it. And yeah, because it's just a bunch of people breached. And I think this was for a city utility. Copy taken from city's network. I'm not sure exactly which utility or service or system this was. But once again, I just, unless it's explicitly required for something, no, you don't need to collect somebody's ID. I'm sorry. Why almost everything we told you about passwords was wrong. So this person just kind of goes through this. Oh, it's embarrassing. I reuse passwords. They're open to phishing, blah, blah, blah. But it's okay because I use two-factor authentication and that helps most of the time, blah, blah, blah. Of course, that is being breached more often, as we have talked about last week on the show. And so with that being said, here is, they talk about one weird trick to improve your passwords. Of course, they talk about the password manager, but that in and of itself, they don't really kind of down talk password managers a little bit. It kind of boils down to they're trying to protect from stuffing of passwords that is on the top list of commonly used passwords. So as long as whatever you're using is not on the commonly used list of passwords, generally is not a problem. Online services can actually have a little bit smaller password according to the articles because there's limitations and spam checkers and bot checkers that will block repeated wrong password attempts. And the idea of 14 character masterpieces of uppercase, lowercase, and wacky characters is basically to protect you from an offline type system as well. And so that is where they are. Basically what they're doing here is they say as long as it's not on the common password list and 8 characters long and you're using multi-factor, then you're probably okay. But again, don't reuse passwords. So interesting little article to read. I look at it going, yeah, again, old news. Thank you, Malwarebytes. This Google Chrome tool could actually be used to steal your login data. On Linux, this is very similar to the ICE applications, is it SMB? I forget what it is, where you can basically pull up a website as an application. In theory, it's supposed to be sandbox, but what it turns out is that these things are very easy to spoof into phishing websites, and since they try and give you a clean browser-looking system where you don't have a URL bar, you have no idea that the application you're signing into is actually a phishing site, because they make everything look perfect, but by nature of what the application is, it hides the URL bar, which is the one thing you can use to verify if you're signing into something. So this is like, yeah, okay, maybe this is a reason to not use these services. So what this boils down to is, ever since Microsoft has been disabling macros by default and putting in a lot more security awareness of macros, people are now using the link files, LNK files, and the LNK files are launching these applications inside of the Chrome or the Edge application version instead of the full web browser. So you're seeing the phishing pages loading, but you don't know it's the phishing page because you don't have a URL to inspect it. And so you end up putting in your information, and you have basically just given all of your login credentials to the scammers. And so there you have what this is doing. Of course, this is applicable to Windows, but of course this can also be applied in Mac and in Linux as well. This application was seen as malware being spread through link files inside of Microsoft Office, but this can be used, anything that's going to automatically load a browser with the app tag. So as long as the browser supports the app tag, is able to pop up an application window without showing you everything else, just the easy application window, you very well may be filling in your information into a phishing site. So have a way to check and verify all of that. And onto our final in security, there is a massive increase in smishing scams. I've not seen the word smishing before. Basically, smishing is phishing with SMS messages. Yet another reason why SMS is the brain dead fool of the internet in the world, you know. But with IRS here is warning taxpayers about an increase in IRS-themed smishing scams aimed at stealing personal and financial information. It is SMS phishing, where the phishes are sent via text message. IRS has identified and reported thousands of fraudulent domains tied to multiple smishing scams. Basically, the IRS is never going to text you. So if you get something from the IRS, they actually have instructions down here at the bottom about what to do. So the IRS is actually asking you to forward any of these smishing scams you get to phishing@irs.gov. They want you to copy the phisher call ID or email address, paste the number or email address into the email, copy the SMS message, paste that into the email, and if possible, the date, time zone, and telephone number receiving the message out to them. So, you know, they can pretend to do something. But I mean, hey, maybe these 85,000 or whatever new armed IRS agents will go and bother them instead of, you know, people who want to, you know, save babies' lives or something. I don't know. But that is something, just be aware of that. IRS is never going to send you a text message, anything that it poses to. You might have fun with them, though. I mean, if they already got your number, you might just have fun with them. Like, oh man, that's so bad. And tie them up for a while. It'd be great. Walk into a police station while you're doing it and have all the policemen sit there and laugh at you and be like, this is where my address is, and see if they can call in a SWAT on their own police department. That'd be awesome, right? But anyway, just be aware of smishing scams. And if you get a smishing scam, the IRS is asking you to forward it on to them. Well, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/TOMM. This will help support all of our different channels out there. So, and I will have more information about things as we start revamping the Switch to Linux site and talk about some of the other things. I want to get a little bit more feedback from you guys as to what you guys, as the patrons and other supporters, are wanting for inside of that. Patreon.com/TOMM. Well, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.